On February 7, 2025, a workshop on inclusive education for persons with disabilities was held at Kalalo Cottages in Pakwach Town Council, Pakwach District. Organized by the Education Local Expertise Center Uganda, Elecu, this workshop aimed at enhancing the capacity of 26 participants as instructors and staff at Pacher Community Polytechnic, Local Government Education Department, and Pajobi Primary School staff to better the services to learners with disabilities. The workshop was facilitated by Els Hengenen Matthias, the International Education and Child Rights Specialist from the Netherlands.
When we use that word slow learner, even for people who are able, by fact, there are people who are slow learners. Leave alone people with disabilities.
So you look at the learner, the content, the learning content. Sometimes you have to change that a little bit. Maybe you have to simplify it a little bit, or you have to do it in braille, or you have to use more visual materials. The learning process is not the same for every child. Some children learn fast, some children learn a little bit slower. Also, that is just human diversity. And if you need a little bit more time, that's often not in all the subjects. And maybe you need more time for reading, but maybe not for mathematics or for other subjects. You need to look at the learning environment. What is your environment looking like? You're sitting here now as if you're sitting in a classroom.
If you say I'm a slow learner, even before I start to hear what you are teaching me, I already know I'm a slow learner. So I'm not going to respond positively. I'm going to already use that label that even if I think I have learned, I have already been told that I'm a slow learner. So what have I learned? Maybe even what I'm learning is wrong. Because you are a teacher and you are in a position of authority, I'm a child, I'm a slow learner, so I know you know better than me. So it impacts on my ability to learn.
The workshop highlighted on a number of issues affecting learners with special needs, and the participants articulated solutions to these predicaments.
These children with disabilities, it is a great thing because they have less mind. Now when you try to give them time, they can be able to pick very fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. A. Why do you think A is the best answer?
For me, the reason why I say 90% of all disabilities are invisible. Like in class when you're teaching, when maybe the children are very many, you can't tell that this one is having disability because it is not seen.
I'm saying so because in most cases you find these disabilities, they are identifiable, but in the shortest time it is not very easy to know that somebody has disabilities.
Right.
For some, they have to come up on their own and say, I have disability in my parts of my body here.
Okay.
Children with disabilities, they always tend to face much challenges in classes due to their barriers to education, their health issues. You find them face a lot of challenges when they're in class.
The one-day meeting consisted of 3 interactive sessions: refreshing inclusive education knowledge, strategies for disability inclusion in community and school, and monitoring inclusion using holistic indicators. Under the refreshing inclusive education knowledge, the participants were exposed to the realities of learners with special needs. The facilitator, using PowerPoint illustrations, introduced questions like, what is the truth about children with disabilities? The greatest barriers faced by children with disabilities are: what are the 3 most common childhood disabilities in Uganda?
Because every child is unique. If you have 2 children with a hearing impairment in your class, these 2 children experience experience that hearing impairment very differently. They are not exactly the same. They do not have exactly the same learning needs or support needs. But by saying special needs children, we put them on one big heap and we don't look at the individual differences anymore.
What research tells us, inclusive education does not require a lot of additional resources. A quality inclusive education system with well-trained teachers and strong peer support can provide education access to as many as 80 to 90% of learners with disabilities in mainstream schools with only minor additional support. Students with Down syndrome show higher reading scores when included in ordinary mainstream classrooms. Students with autism spectrum disorder make more academic progress in inclusive ordinary mainstream classrooms than in segregated special units or class or special schools. Disability-inclusive classrooms have no impact on the academic performance of students without disability, but inclusive classrooms have many social benefits for all students. Teachers should never diagnose a child and say the child has a disability, as teachers are not trained to diagnose disabilities. The participants were trained on the better use of the language in regards to persons with special needs.
For a teacher who uses the word mentally retarded several times in a class, it will make me shy away.
Absolutely.
And I will not get what the teacher is trying to teach me.
Then there was Session 2, Strategies for Disability Inclusion in Community and School. Disability inclusion in communities and schools using storybooks. Why writing for and about children with disabilities? Successful disability inclusion is established through understanding and respecting individual differences. Books can play an important role in this understanding. Attitudes, opinions, expectations, and feelings can be changed by reading storybooks about children with disabilities. Session 3, and this was about monitoring inclusion using holistic indicators. As a saying by the persons with disability, nothing for us without us. In this slide, the facilitator advised school managers and stakeholders to include disability messages and pictures in storybooks. Interaction of children with and without disabilities during play. The facilitator also borrowed notes from the STAR school model, the whole school approach to the quality education inclusiveness of all children. Learner, healthy, well-nourished, supported by parents or community. Learning content, relevant curriculum, adequate materials for literacy, numeracy, skills for life. Learning process, child-centered, interactive, differentiation in used methods. Learning environment, no physical or mental punishment, water or sanitation, emotional support. Learning outcomes, assessment methods, knowledge, attitudes, skills, summative or formative. The learning environment was key to learners with special needs. Most learning support needs of children with disabilities or with learning difficulties can be met in regular classrooms by regular teachers. Inclusive education benefits all children. Inclusive education has shown positive educational and social impact for every child, irrespective of learning difficulty or disability. For inclusive education to be successful, collaboration and mutual support between teachers, schools, parents and communities is critical. Using diverse, disability-inclusive supplementary readers can change negative mindsets. And lastly, the day was crowned up with a closing remark from the Inspector of Schools, Pakwach District, Richard.
We really take this opportunity to appreciate your presence amidst us. We appreciate the kind of explanation that you gave us. I am sure these people now, when they go back home, they will teach in the classroom as they remember you. Uganda is implementing inclusive education according to the Sustainable Development Goal 4 that we earlier talked about. The idea of having all learners, categories of learners with special needs in the classroom is our brainchild in Uganda.
and the award of attendance certificates to the participants. With support from Vendome Foundation and World Gezen, Elecu is committed to empowering educators to make a positive impact on the lives and learners of all categories, including the ones with special needs.